Yeah, yeah, Aarti, let's talk about comparisons in this episode. There are parents who compare their children. One of the sibling would be better than the other sibling, or else the single child is not good enough, as good as the neighbor's child or the relative's child. How do we handle this? What advice would you give for parents?
Ma'am, again, historically, we need to understand how comparison came in. When we were not so hyper connected with technology and news and things like that, if there was somebody in the community who sort of went out, did something great in life, came back, things like that, they would say, see this person, he studied in our local school, went out, became such a great person, etc. And this was the baseline for comparison, not to, put anybody down, but to let people know that there are opportunities outside our village, there are opportunities outside the school and things like that. Somewhere in the more, and I think that was also at a time when not so many people had the opportunity to go to school or college and things like that. Like I remember in my own batch, there were a lot of girls who were married off when they were in grade 9, grade 10. So in terms of getting access to higher education and all that, very few people had it. So at that point, comparison was required to help people understand these are your options. You could do this further. However, now what has happened, with children still having a lot more opportunities for higher education, what has also happened is within the educational system, you got several more boards which are constantly competing with each other, and everything has become about marks, not so much about the qualities that you can bring forth. And I think this also happened post liberalization, globalization in a negative sense, because we started assuming that only if you had an off-site kind of position, you were somehow better in your community, or if you were earning a certain amount of money. So your entire worth was reduced to a set of numbers, initially as marks, then further from that as the amount of money you were earning, the kind of cars, the kind of clothes, that kind of very external
External.
kind of thing, very bling on the outside kind of thing. Having said this, parents raised in that culture are the parents now. So for them, this is
Okay.
still modeled behavior. They've learned from their parents that you compare, and they feel that comparison somehow will motivate children. Now, with access to information, comparison isn't really good. And I feel comparison at any point is never really good, because we are two unique individuals. Right now, we may be having a conversation. Right now, our commitment may be to the child. But after this interview is over, you will move on to have, say, lunch with friends or something. I might have another assignment to do, and I will have certain interests, qualities, you will have some. And we have to understand that though we may have this one common platform,
There are.
we are completely unique in every other way. This is something that every parent needs to recognize, because children thrive on parental attention
So
and
true.
on how much they feel supported and that sense of belonging with the parent. Comparison destroys that. When I keep comparing my elder child with my younger child, and for me, I have siblings. My elder sister is like this super duper person. From the first year of college till she finished her MPhil, every semester was a gold medal. My brother, state ranker in his 12th standard. I managed decent marks, but I was never the star, but I was good in sports. I was excellent at debating, quizzing, all of these things, but they were all overshadowed because they were not reflected in my marks. So somewhere this comparison culture does more harm than good, because it does not take into account the uniqueness of an individual, and we are setting unrealistic standards in another place where this uniqueness may not shine. In fact, they have that quote, I think by Einstein, if I'm not mistaken: if you judge a fish by its ability to
Yeah.
climb a tree, it'll believe it's a fool. Something, I'm just paraphrasing, but something to that effect. So in that sense, I would request parents to please sit down with your children and understand what they're really good at, because it's important for us to understand that children in our care thrive on our love for them, our unconditional acceptance, and our ability to support them through the life choices that they're making. If we can do that, I think we will never need to compare, because when we know for sure that our children are doing well, we will never need to compare them to another person.
A very good advice to parents, Aarti. Much needed. Thank you.